If you struggle to get in workouts into your busy schedule, this little fitness hack might help you out. It's called microdosing fitness. No, we're not talking about using some illicit substance in order to get some sort of exercise effect. We're talking about literally taking little tiny bits and pieces of your day and incorporating movement in order to get some sort of movement or exercise effect on the body. Does it sound too good to be true? It might be, but let's dive into it. The concept of fitness microdosing, or getting in fitness snacks, so to speak, is the idea that you can take little bits of your schedule and incorporate some form of movement. So if you're stuck in the office all day, you're stuck at your desk, maybe that includes doing 10 squats every 20 minutes, or maybe you do 20 jumping jacks every hour. Perhaps while you're on an important call, you're walking laps around the office. Essentially, you're finding various intervals throughout your day where you can incorporate some type of movement. Now, the real question is, does this actually work? While there isn't necessarily a lot of research in this area of fitness, there is some promise. Some research suggests that you can get in a good workout in only about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, doing these little exercise snacks might not be 10 or 15 minutes of exercise, but my philosophy on fitness is that any movement is better than no movement. Why do I say this? Because less than 25% of Americans reach physical activity recommendation guidelines. Additionally, you might have heard that sitting is considered the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle has been linked to things like obesity, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, metabolic syndrome, and a multitude of other dangerous chronic conditions. In a society where we are being more and more inactive, it is so crucial to move. In addition to the necessity to move, a lot of people don't necessarily have the motivation for a full 45 or 60-minute workout. Even if you're just getting started, people can typically dedicate 1 to 2 minutes every hour to some form of movement or exercise. Once you start building those healthy habits, it might inspire you more and more to get moving. So how can you incorporate these micro workouts into your busy schedule? If you're fortunate enough to have some sort of standing desk, you can perform a lot of different exercises while holding onto the countertop. You can also do a lot of chair-based exercises while you're sitting down. Some of these include pumping your calves, extending your legs, using the armrests to perform some sort of dip movement, performing sit-to-stand exercises, and plenty of other options. I would recommend every 30 minutes trying to get at least 1 to 2 minutes of exercise. So that could be squats, lunges, jumping jacks, push-ups, crunches. Really any body weight focused exercise you can do in a short amount of time. You can also do these while watching TV at home, while scrolling through social media, and more. As a personal trainer, I have a lot of clients who don't think they have enough time to exercise, but then when we break it down, we actually find good amounts of time throughout every day where they can get some sort of movement in. My first recommendation is to look at your screen time. If your screen time is really high, you can probably cut some of that out. However, if you really don't want to go without your phone, this tip might help. I had a personal training client who was really struggling with her screen time, but she was also struggling to get in a good amount of cardio throughout the week. So, her and I worked together to come up with a cool strategy in order to implement scrolling on her phone and doing cardio. She was fortunate enough to have an elliptical machine in her basement that she could use, so I recommended the only time that she was allowed to scroll on her phone was when she was on the elliptical. So before implementing this sort of habit stacking method, she didn't get in enough cardio and her screen time was up significantly. After about 2 months of this intervention, she was able to get in the recommended amount of cardiovascular exercise and she cut down her screen time by over 60%. If you want to get started microdosing your fitness or getting in these fitness snacks, here are some steps you can take to getting started. Step number 1, identify times of the day where you might be less busy. Maybe you're sitting around or standing around waiting for something. These are very good times to allot for intentional movement or intentional exercise. If you're someone who likes to schedule things out, block this time off for a little bit of movement. Step number 2 is be intentional with what movements you do. So for instance, one day throughout the day, maybe you just do lower body exercises so you're getting in some sort of lower body strengthening activity. Maybe the next day after that you do some sort of upper body movements like push-ups or some sort of modified pull-up that you can do. And then step number 3 is get consistent with it. When you first get started, it might be hard to remember that you're trying to incorporate these fitness snacks into your routine. My recommendation is to set an alarm or some sort of notification system that tells you when to get moving at least 2 times within an hour. And then step number 4 is to continue to progress those activities. Try and add on a little bit more every single day and every single week so that you can continue to make progress. Maybe eventually you start allotting larger amounts of time to regular exercise. After learning about fitness microdosing, there are a few things that I would take away from this. Number 1 is that this should not replace regular exercise or structured exercise in a routine. I think working out or getting in intentional movement is great, but it needs to be for a certain amount of time in order to get the type of training stimulus or health benefits that you're looking for. I think that this is a great alternative for people who are just so busy and they really don't think they can get in a full workout in a given day. Human beings were meant to move. We evolved from hunters and gatherers that were moving tens of thousands of years ago, and so our bodies still need to move. This is a great way of incorporating movement in throughout the day, and I think that this should be a bare minimum approach. This would be a great starting point or great for somebody who is just super duper busy. What do you guys think about fitness microdosing? Do you think that this is an effective strategy for getting in regular exercise or regular movement? Or do you think that this is a bunch of baloney? Let me know in the comments what you think. Feel free to share this with people who don't think they have enough time to work out. And then of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for more fitness and motivational content. Thank you for joining me today. You can follow me on all of my socials at Jackson Ryan Fitness and shoot me a message about how your fitness journey is going. We'll see you next time.